ready. Yes, Evie, I will make sure that the reminders are sent out. Absolutely. By the end of today we're going to talk about how bar graders grade, how they grade bar essays, how long they spend, what they're looking for. We're going to talk about common essay errors. And we're also going to talk about how to approach bar essays through looking at, we're not going to do the whole thing, but we're going to look at an MEE and talk about breaking it down, writing the analysis, etc. Then we're also going to look, one thing that I don't normally do this in these free workshops, but one thing that I'm going to show you all is I'm going to talk about triaging. So, which is a massive time management thing. So it's triaging the issues, figuring out where you need to spend your time. How do you allocate your time? So it's something I have courses, which I will talk about tonight too, but I just wanted to really kind of get in and show y'all some of these like really helpful tips and strategies. And if you guys have questions, feel free to type them in the chat. I'm going to try to just hold off on questions until the end, but if there's something burning, you've got to get, you can put it there and I'll try to, use my discretion of if I can wait or not. And I'm also super excited. I know some of you here, I did this before we started recording, but I do have samples to show you of my forthcoming MBE book, which is a massive labor of love, and I'm very excited about it. And I also have a sample of my MEE template book. For those of you that are studying for California, those are already out, but I will definitely go through and show you the samples of the 2 new books that are coming out very soon. I also have an MPT book that is coming out, I think right at the end of November, it's coming out. So there's that. So lots of, great, exciting stuff that's coming up, and I will definitely try to slow down. So first, I want to talk about how bar graders grade. And this is coming from experience, not because I've not been a bar grader, but my colleagues, I could never go because I own a bar prep company, but I've worked at various law schools. I have worked, as a professor, not just adjunct, like, on faculty, as a professor at various law schools. And when you work at a law school, the bar examiners, particularly in California, but also the NCBE graders, they give presentations to people that do bar prep, to people that are in law schools, so that we can educate our students. So we get invited to these sessions that are called calibration sessions, or my colleagues do. And this comes from, these tips come from bar graders. So we know this because of things that they have said. I also do go more in depth into this in my essay course. I have a memo talking about all sorts of stuff. Generally speaking, you want to think of a bar grader as someone who's just kind of like grumpy and stiff. They're just sort of like, don't really like what they're doing. I wouldn't. Grading is miserable. Somebody that's, I tend to think of them as being a little bit more uptight. Maybe if, any of them are listening, I'm sorry, but that's sort of the impression that we get. They do want you to pass. They are trying to give you points. At least they, it seems that way, at least some of the time. But they don't spend a lot of time grading your essays. So they spend 2 to 3 minutes on each essay. It's definitely closer to the 2-minute side. They know exactly what they're looking for. They know what the issues are. They know how to find them. They know where it should be. They know what facts should be used. They know it cold. So I can tell you, because I know essays cold and I grade with people on the spot, like I do score reviews where I will go over your essays with you, tell you what you were missing, why you got a particular score, why you got the score that you got, etc. That is rough, Mediha. I am so sorry. But they don't really dig into your material. So you have to make everything incredibly clear for them. In the UBE in particular, you really, also California, you really have to dig in and give them exactly what they're looking for. It is a precision game for sure. Like you really want to get them exactly what they're looking for. So issue spotting and precision in your issue spotting is really important. And that really only happens if you do a ton of practice. And people are sort of shocked when I say this, but I think that you all need to write a minimum for UBE, a minimum of 10 essays in every subject, and issue spot more than that at a minimum. So that's writing a lot of essays, because you need to be able to critique yourself and look and say, okay, am I hitting the right issues? You need to be very critical when you're assessing on, was my rule correct? Was my application correct? Am I actually getting at the right issue? Is it organized well? All of that. And organizing well and your structure, just FYI, the organization and the structure is really just, it's like, just because you organize well, that doesn't mean that you're going to get a passing score. It makes it so that we can see the information much easier because they don't dig. So we can very quickly see whether you hit the right issues, whether your analysis is correct, etc. So well-organized headings and stuff, like that's a baseline. That is not passing. You have to then get the analysis right, get the right issues. They really do look for keywords and thorough analysis. You know, they look for, you know, issue statements if you're in the UBE. They look for headings. They know what words, they know the rules. They look for here, they look for thus. They look for keywords. They look for thorough analysis. It really comes down to your use of the facts. A better answer, when I look at two answers side by side and one answer is better than the other, then yeah, and it is 30 minutes to do all of this and it's a lot, but it's completely doable. It just takes a lot of practice and like the right approach, you know, and all of that. So they look for keywords, they look for thorough analysis, and the analysis, it's all about using the facts better. It's really like, are you actually using the facts? I don't want someone to just, you know, spew a bunch of rules and then have just 1 or 2 sentences of analysis, even though sometimes the UBE analysis sheets look like that. The better answers go in on the fact, and they don't look twice. So you've got to make everything very clear, very obvious for them. These are some very common essay errors. So, and this list comes from a presentation from the NCBE, which is who puts on the UBE. And I know this list is also the same as in California because it's the same issues. It's such like universal errors. So 1 is failing to answer the call to question. Answer the call to the question. Give them exactly what they're looking for. 2 is failing to use the specific facts and not using enough of them. In California, you have to use every fact in the fact pattern. UBE, you don't, but you want to use as many as you can and use the specific facts where it's appropriate. Don't, you know, I don't want you to like, God, what is the word? Like generalize. Yeah, I don't want you to generalize the facts. Like use them specifically. They're written in a particular way because they can be used for a particular issue the way that they're written. 3, lack of organization. That goes back to what I said earlier. So, you know, organizing is just a baseline. It needs to be well organized so that we can see if your analysis is there. So you need to make sure at the outset that you're good at organizing. 4 is spaghetti walling. This happens a lot. And this is something that I see quite a bit. That's just like throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. Don't do that. Not a good idea. That means that your writing is imprecise and you're wasting time. So this is where if I look at an essay, I'm like, you're not getting at the right issue. You're talking about all of this other stuff. And then just finally at the end, you get to the heart of the issue. Cut that other stuff out. Just get to the heart of the issue. Failing to tackle the tough issues. So how many of you, and making up rules, we do go into making up rules is okay. And I actually teach strategy for making up rules too. In the classes as well. It's a skill and it's something you need to practice. But that's actually not a common error. That's not something that they've called out. 5 is failing to tackle the tough issues. This is something in particular. What I mean by this is probably missing the counter arguments. So there are counter arguments. There are ambiguities baked into these essays, and you need to identify them and you need to address them. You identify the counter arguments by saying, how many of you on an essay, you like go and you write and you're like, well, it could be this or it could be that. And you can't decide which way to go. Does that happen to you? It happens a lot. It happens a lot. That's a counter argument. So then when you get that issue, when that happens to you, what you need to do is instead of sitting there and like going back and forth, you just, all right, let me do one analysis. Then we get the counter argument. Your conclusion doesn't matter. So that you need to know that. You need to really know that and be like, okay, this is when that thing happens. That's what you need to do. That's your response. That will save you time. Poor writing. This doesn't happen all that often, but it can definitely happen. 7 is just restating portions of the fact pattern. Just restating portions of the fact pattern or fact dumping isn't analysis, but a lot of people just do that. They think that because they're writing the facts that they're doing something, and it does feel productive, but you actually have to analyze. You have to explain the significance of the facts by connecting it to the rule. 8 is failing to show your work. You need to use, like, every single sentence of analysis should have the word because in it. Like you can't just state a conclusion. You have to say, like, you know, it was at night because. You can't just say here, you know, it was nighttime. You know, if we're talking about burglary, common law. 9 is failing to set forth assumptions. So if there is a fact that is missing, so for example, if you're in civil procedure and you're doing a jurisdiction analysis. Then if you're doing a personal jurisdiction analysis, if you don't know if you have a long arm statute, then you need to set forth an assumption saying, assuming we have an unlimited long arm statute, then the court would apply the constitutional test. So set forth assumptions where they're necessary. You don't do this a lot, but you do need to see it. You do need to see it. It can also be something like, you know, if you have some analysis that you need to do, and maybe the conclusion could go either way, right? So maybe you're doing negligence and you're saying, you know, and you're deciding, well, I don't think a duty is owed under Cardozo, right? But that would mean that you're not doing the rest of your negligence analysis. Then you would set forth an assumption that would allow you to go forward in your analysis. Because if you say a duty is not owed, then the analysis stops there. So you don't want to do that generally on the bar. You don't want to foreclose a whole bunch of analysis that you know they're looking for. So you say, you know, assuming the court finds that there is a duty, you know, assuming that there is a duty, or assuming we're in an Andrews jurisdiction, assuming we're in a minority jurisdiction, that's totally fine. That's something that you want to do. Failing to try, even if you have no idea, if you have no clue. What I mean by this is a couple of things. One, don't just like when you're actually in the exam, if you see the essay and you're like, I don't know what to do, you need to know what to do in that situation. So you need to have a plan of what to do. And like I do go over this. Sorry about my dog. Let me grab him. You need to have a plan. Yeah, here's Archie. Hi. He's very cute, but his eyes always look crazy on camera. Full blue eyes. Oh.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Thanks, everybody. But failing to try, even if you have no clue. So you need to know what to do if you get an essay and you're like, I don't know where to start. Right. And like, that's something that I talk about, something I teach, it's something I will test you on, like in class. I'm like, all right, we're going to do a little practice where everybody, I'm going to give you an issue. And I know you probably don't know the rule and you're not looking it up and you've got to write something. So practice making up a rule. And then B, practice writing the analysis when you don't know where to start. So I'm going to give you like a portion of a fact pattern and be like, all right, what are you going to do here? Because I know y'all don't know the rules. If there's always like one or two people that do, but usually not that many. The other part of it, failing to try, even if you have no clue, the other big part of it is actually doing all the practice. It is actually doing, sorry, now my dog is trying to eat things off my desk. Actually doing all of the practice, closed book and timed during practice. So you need to write essays, closed note, timed constantly. You need to test yourself all the time. This is the biggest mistake I think I see is people not doing that. Is people not practicing, not doing that. So even if you're like, you know, I'm scared to write an essay, it's really daunting. And it's like, it sucks because you're not going to, especially the first essay you do in a subject, it's going to be terrible. But like, you need to know that. Like, I know that. Mine were terrible too. I think I still have mine because I saved everything I did for the bar, but they're terrible. I generally, when I'm tutoring someone, I won't look at an essay that they write until it's their third one in the subject because I know that it takes warming up. So even if you're like, oh, I don't know enough law yet, try. You have to identify what you know and what you don't know. So that is the biggest thing. Is everybody going to do that? How many people are scared to write essays? So do you sort of avoid it? It's so common. But you can't. Like, just try. Good, Sharon. You just have to try. Like, just get started. There's nothing to lose with it. Like, the thing that you do, though, is you identify what you know and what you don't know. It also is a really good way of working on your memorization. You memorize by practicing. You memorize by forcing yourself to recall the rules. And then when it comes, you're more likely to remember it in the future. So it's an incredibly effective memorization technique. When people don't do it, the end memorization is horrid. It's absolutely horrible. So yeah, and you've got to cut it off at an hour because you have to practice for an hour or 30 minutes, depending on the jurisdiction. You need to practice like making strategic decisions when you don't have more time. So you need to know what you're going to do. So like, yeah, though, how many essays do I suggest writing per day? It starts a little slower. So like you have to review a subject. So I always give people like a few days to review a subject and then start writing. So you're going to start off by writing like one essay a day after you've reviewed the first subject. And then you're eventually going to work up to doing like basically 1 to 2 essays a day. And I want you to be exposed to Desi, and that's a challenge. I work with a lot of foreign attorneys, and I know that that's the challenge. And so like for foreign attorneys, one thing that we do often is you don't get a lot of points for your rules. You really don't. So like if you need to cut out some rules, cut out some rules, because the analysis is what matters. So I've had people do that and pass. They don't cut out all the rules, and that's something that's really more of a last case scenario, but it's all about memorizing it. So you memorize it through practice. And then last thing, doesn't happen very often, but failing to be professional. You've got to just be professional when in this test. Think about these people are just like sort of stiff, just sort of stiff people, I think. So yeah, so you do want to be cognizant of that. Professional, it's just in the writing, like don't use shorthand that's not common. Like somebody, like I've seen people like actually write, instead of writing TO, yes, the analysis is hands down. Issue spotting and the analysis are hands down the two most important things, hands down. Professional, it's just like I knew someone that like thought it would be cute to end her PT in a rhyme. Like they're not going to think that that's cute. It's very serious. People use like writing sort of in shorthand. Like instead of writing TO for 2, they wrote the number 2. Like don't do that type of stuff. Like it's really ridiculous. Like don't try to be funny. Just like answer it. You answer the question. All right. These are the steps for writing. Yeah, you gotta have to learn to love IRAC. You have to learn to love it. Safiola. So first thing you're gonna do, and this is for MEE and California, both. It's the same process. I have taught people to do this for MEE in California for years. People's writing improves massively. But you also have to implement it, and you have to practice it. So incredibly important. Safiola, if you don't like IRAC, you'll really like my essay book because it just does it all for you. So number 1, you check the call to question. What subject am I in? And then like in my essay class, I'm going to give you one today, but in my essay class, I give you issue checklists for every subject. So it's like just quick. What's the issue checklist? What are all the issues within that subject? Or if they tell you what the issues are, then that's your issue checklist. 3, you just read the fact pattern. You read the fact pattern, you're identifying issues, you're marking it up. I often like to mark up a fact pattern with, okay, this goes to the first issue, this goes to the second issue, etc. But you're reading the fact pattern, identifying the issues. Desi, I don't think it is, but I can add it. I think I meant to add it. Yeah. 4, you write your skeletal outline. And I do this in like my answer. So if you're a handwriter, it's a little bit different than just doing it on scratch paper. But I put my headings into ExamSoft. Like I am like putting my headings in there. I'm not writing my rules yet because timing is so critical. You can lose so much time just writing in a ton of rules, and you need to be very thoughtful and only include the amount of rule necessary, because otherwise you run out of time. So you do your skeletal outline, you just put your headings in the fact pattern. Then you go back through the fact patterns and you put the facts in the fact pattern, right? You just put the facts in like under the appropriate heading. So I just start at my top heading, and I'm going to show you this in a minute. I just start at my top heading, and under this heading, I put in this fact, this heading, or these facts, whatever it is. So you put them in there. Then step 6, this is so important, and it's important to do this before you start writing. And I'm going to show you this through a California essay in a little bit, but you have to triage. So there's some issues that are going to be much bigger, some issues that are going to be very minor. And you need to know how to identify which issues are bigger. Usually it's the issues where like negligence is a big issue. There are some issues that are just always big, but you know that it's a bigger issue if there's a lot of facts around it. If there's a counter argument for that issue, that means it's going to be worth a little bit more because it takes a little bit more time. And you want to think about that. Okay, I need to finish this issue in 10 minutes, this issue in 10 minutes, this issue, and these other 2 issues in 5 minutes each, right? If you're in the MEE. So you want to triage, you want to think about how much time, and also think about, I'm not going to be able to do all my rules here. I'm not going to be able to break this down into all these little sub-IRACs, etc. You want to think about not only like how much time for the issues, but like how deep am I going to go? Am I going to actually break, battery down into its elements and do little sub-IRACs? No, you're probably not going to do that. I also, in the book, I do show you how to do this stuff. I show you both, like if you want to like break something apart, and I also show you if you're just going to do it in a collapsed manner. So like if you want to do it like, a sub IRAC, so like battery, intent, act, intent, causation are the elements. And, if you wanted to like do a little IRAC for each element, or because you don't have time, what does it look like if you just squish it together? And then you write. California, you take 15 to 20 minutes to do this. UBE, 7 to 10 minutes to do this. And I know it's a lot, I know it's a lot, but the issue is usually much more precise. California, and you have fewer issues. California has double the issues. So it's the same. It's the same thing. And the process works. I have had people like improve their UBE scores like 30, 40 points, really bring their writing up. So let me give you an issue checklist. So I need to pass this dang stupid exam, right? This is my checklist for torts and my mnemonic. I don't have mnemonics for everything, but for a lot I do. So intentional torts for I, negligence, products liability, defamation, strict liability, and extra torts. And we'll send out an email tomorrow. This recording will be posted along with the PowerPoint, will be posted to our free workshops course on my website. So make sure you're registered for that, but we'll send out a link to everybody for that tomorrow. So here's our torts subject issue checklist. Do you guys remember what the steps are for writing? Triage is where you decide where the points are, right? Like it's like the term comes from like a hospital, right? You first go to triage where they're going to say like, okay, a heart attack patient, we're going to treat them first. Somebody else comes in for like a stub toe, they're last. So you have to decide where the points are and make decisions about how you're going to allocate your time. It's hugely important skill. All right, so let's look at an essay. So this is a July 2017 MEE. Let me give you all the link because I'm not allowed to just totally share it. Here's the link. So you guys pull it up. We always start with the call of the question. That's good. That's okay. Totally okay. So as to each of the judge's 4 findings, was the judge correct? So remember, you want to answer the call to question, what's the judge correct at the end? So fireworks displays are not an abnormally dangerous activity and thus are not subject to strict liability. So we're just going to focus on that one. We're just focusing on that. But let's just look at these other 3. So based on the evidence submitted, a reasonable jury could not conclude that the conduct of the fireworks company was negligent. 3, the misfiring mortar was not the proximate cause of the husband's injuries. And 4, the homeowners association cannot be held liable for the firework company's acts or omissions. So a lot of issues here, but they're pretty straight to the point. They're straight to the point. All right, let me have you all read the fact pattern. I think I can share it on the screen because they did say that I could do that, but I needed to give you all the links that you have. Okay. And I just want you guys to read it to yourselves and then I'll read it out loud, but I like to give people a minute to read it themselves first. All right, so I'm going to read it out loud. And actually, I'm going to take one step back. After reading the call to question, I should have had, so here's, based on the call to question, these are the issues. So strict liability, negligence, proximate cause, vicarious liability. Those are the issues just based on the call to question. Okay, so step 3 is what we're doing now. We're reading it. So let me go back to our fact pattern. So on the evening of July 4th, a woman went to the end of her dock to watch a fireworks display on the lake where her house was located. The woman's husband remained inside the house. The fireworks display was sponsored by the Lake Homeowners Association, which had contracted with the fireworks company to plan and manage all aspects of the fireworks display. The fireworks display was set off from a barge in the middle of the lake. During the finale, a mortar flew out horizontally instead of ascending into the sky. The mortar struck the woman's dock. She was hit by flaming debris and severely injured. When the woman's husband saw what had happened from inside the house, he rushed to help her. So he's a rescuer, which they're always foreseeable. In his hurry, he tripped on a rug and fell down a flight of stairs, sustaining a serious fracture. That is foreseeable because it's foreseeable that somebody's going to rush to help someone, and it makes it more likely that you might trip and fall and hurt yourself if you're rushing. All the fireworks company employees are state certified fireworks technicians, and the company followed all governmental fireworks regulations. It is not known why the mortar misfired. The woman and her husband sued the Homeowners Association and the fireworks company to recover damages for their injuries under theories of strict liability and negligence. At trial, they established all of the above facts. They also established the following. 1, nationally, accidents involving fireworks cause about 9,000 injuries and 5 deaths each year. About 15% of these accidents are caused by mortars misfiring in the course of professional fireworks displays, and some of these accidents occur despite compliance with governmental fireworks regulations. Even with careful use by experts, fireworks mortars can still misfire. So that means that even with the exercise of all reasonable care, then it's still dangerous, right? Which is part of our abnormally dangerous activity analysis. Although a state statute requires a safety zone of 500 feet from the launching site of fireworks when the fireworks are launched on land, the statute does not refer to fireworks launched on water. Neither the Homeowners Association nor the fireworks company established such a zone. The average fireworks to shore distance for this display was 1,000 feet. The woman's dock is 450 feet from the location of the fireworks barge. At only 3 other points in the lake is there land or a dock within 500 feet of the fireworks barge location. After the conclusion of the plaintiff's case, both the homeowners association and the fireworks company moved for a directed verdict on the basis that the facts established by the evidence did not support a verdict for the plaintiffs. The trial judge granted the motion based on these findings. All right, so I'm just going to set it out for call one because I don't want to keep everybody here all night. So I'm setting it up. So I put my headings in, right? This is my skeletal outline. So I just put in my headings. Now, this is what I would normally do for abnormally dangerous activities, but I might not, like, I didn't break down causation because I know that I've got a lot to do here. So I didn't break down actual and proximate because I know that that's a little bit difficult. That takes a little bit of time to do that. So I want to put my facts in. So I'm gonna start putting in my facts here, right? Substantial risk of harm, of significant harm, despite the exercise of reasonable care. So I always start by, I don't go through the fact pattern and try to place facts. I start with my headings and try to put the facts in the relevant place. And notice I'm not typing in rules. I'm not doing my analysis yet. I'm just putting in the facts. So nationally, accidents involving fireworks cause about, my space bar, I like spilled coffee on it, and 5 deaths each year. About 15% of these accidents are caused, and I'm not going to fix a bunch of typos in the real bar exam. One thing you really don't need to worry about too much, unless it makes it difficult to read. They expect it. And some of these accidents occur despite compliance with governmental, even with careful use by experts. There's some other facts I can put in here, but I'm like, I don't want to put everything in. Okay, matter of common usage. This, I'm like, I don't know if this is a matter of common usage. So what do you guys think? Do you think it is a matter of common usage? People use fireworks all the time, right? Like, some states are illegal, but other states they're not. But I would say like a big fireworks display maybe is a little bit different. So this is, fireworks are fairly common in certain parts of the country. Fireworks fairly certain. What else would you guys say? Anybody have, I think that's really kind of it, but I go a little bit back and forth on this, especially on the 4th of July. Fireworks are common on the 4th of July. Yeah, very common. Yeah, especially. Yep. So I would say that, but I think you can make an argument both ways here. You can make an argument both ways. And then, did the harm result from the abnormally dangerous propensity? This is really straightforward. Harm was from mortar, misfire, danger of fireworks is burns, causation. I'm just going to, nothing interfered. That's going to be fairly straightforward. I would argue both ways on that. Anytime I'm like, hesitate a tiny bit, I'm going to argue both. Damages. What injury did she? She was struck. And so like, I'm using the specific facts here and I put them in quotes. Woman was severely injured. So that's it. So I put my facts in there, right? And I'm like, okay. And then you would do this for each of the issues. You just put the facts in there. Because what happens, so this is why this is really important, is because when you do this, then you just say, okay, I know what the rule is, right? And I'm going to take my facts. So if I did this for everything, right? So if I have time, right? And hopefully you would, I would write in my rule. An activity is abnormally dangerous when there is a substantial risk of harm despite the exercise of reasonable care, and it is not a matter of common usage. Okay, so like my rules, I always, when I write rules, do like X, when, Y. So here there is X, abnormally dangerous, an activity is abnormally dangerous when, and it's these two, it's my other headings, my subheadings. So it's not even, there is a rule for that, but like, I'm like, you know what, maybe I don't even need to write that. But I was just going to say what my heading is. Here, there is a substantial risk of significant harm despite the exercise of reasonable care because facts. So this is why you can't just like drop facts in. Additionally, about 50%, or actually, I'm not even going to say additionally. I'm going to just delete the period and do a comma. About 50% of the accidents are caused by mortars. And so I just make this all into one sentence. So it was 3 sentences when I copied it in. And then now I'm like, here, there is a substantial risk of harm despite the exercise of reasonable care because fact, fact, fact. And that's my analysis. Thus, and here, that's a long element. So I can just say, thus this element. I have to like really hit it every time. This element's satisfied. So that's why you put the facts in. And sometimes I'm like, you know what? Like this is fairly self-explanatory. I'm not even gonna put the rule there. Just put in my analysis, do this. So you just like, this is the way to do your essays. And this is a way to like actually finish essays. So you just go through bit by bit and like, you know, it makes it a lot easier because some people I see and it kills me. Some people go through and like write in all of their rules first. And like, that is such a waste of time and it's going to kill you. You're not going to finish. So Sharon, that's where my book comes in. That's where practice comes in, you know, setting out the skeletal outline. So people say that they struggle setting out the skeleton. But that's really just like memorization, doing drills. I have these things called quick sheets, which like basically give you all of the like the bullet points, the headings, all the elements and stuff. My book lays all this stuff out for you so you don't have to think about it. And you can make what I call little attack outlines where you are setting up what are the headings and subheadings for this issue. So you know what the skeletal outline is. Collude, it's following this step. It's following the step. It's, you know, some people say that they write the rule and never finish. How do you like, you don't start by writing the rules. You start by doing this. My book, Dawn, so the book for California, you can find on my website. The ME ebook will be out in just a few weeks. The ME ebook will be out in just a few weeks. We're just making some last minute edits to it because I want to make sure that I've got everything in there. But yeah, so that's what you do. This is how you like, this is how you finish a 30-minute essay. And for California, this is how you get it with the timing. Texas, same thing. Texas is UBE. So that's the MEE one. Yeah, Andy, it's good for handwriters too. Absolutely. The ME ebook is $149 and we'll send out links for all this stuff. And we'll send out a sign up list because we'll notify you all about signing up or we'll notify the people that signed up for the wait list first. I don't have the electronic copy yet, like the full one, because we're just going through and making some edits. So we do have it electronically. And then if you want the hard copy, you just pay the difference for getting a copy of like the printing cost and the shipping cost, basically. So it won't be very much. Like I'm not trying to, profit off the printing. So yeah, so I'm super, super excited. We do have a sample of it available. So I will show everybody the sample of the ME ebook. And I do walk you through step-by-step this process, what to do. I give you analysis writing formulas, how to write rules. Like I really try to break it down to its simplest. So yeah, let me get the sample up. And I have a sample of my MBE book also. I do also do one-on-one. Yes, Henrietta, I do quite a lot of one-on-one tutoring, but I'm trying to move away from it if I'm being honest. But I do it. Like it's definitely something I do. I just want, it sucks because it's expensive. Yeah, it'll be uploaded in my free workshops course. And I also, y'all, I have a Facebook group that everybody can join. I have a Facebook group that you guys should all join. Like I post stuff like when something is coming out. I'm going to start doing podcasts again. So I'm going to start doing those episodes again very soon. The hard copy for the essay book with an autograph just for you, Anna. I think it's going to be around like somewhere between $20 and $30 for the hard copy and shipping. It's a little bit expensive because it's in color. I'm getting the Facebook group pulled up right now so I can give you all the link. And it's on Spotify. Let's see. Here is the Facebook group. Here's the Facebook group. And then give me 1 second. I'll give you all because the podcast is great, I think. Oh, here's the podcast. Yeah, and I just have to approve you, but I will. So a couple of things that I want to talk about. Then I'm going to show you a triaging trick. So a couple of things that I just wanted to talk about. So yeah, there's some notes in here. Yeah, so like this is going way more in depth on the analysis. This is a sample in the handout or in the presentation. It's like if I go way deeper into it, like getting into all the factors, but you don't really need to. You don't need to do that. But here's an example of like what I just showed you is like what you can do and totally get a passing answer. This is a sample of like a high passing answer. So I also like to do that. Like my approach to teaching is let me show you how to like, if you're starting here, I'm going to take you here and then here and then here, right? Like it's like, basketball, I need to teach you how to dribble before I teach you how to dunk. So that's my approach. It's like I don't just want to give you a perfect answer. I want to show you like how do you incrementally get there, because it takes that, right? It's like math. You have to do addition, subtraction, division before you can do, advanced calculus. So one thing, I have a Mastering the Essays course. I have it for both California and the UBE. We do have it so you can make payments, just FYI. Starts Tuesday, December 12th. It includes an overview. I always start by doing a whole overview of the subject in torts in 20 minutes. You get analysis formulas. I really walk you through how to write a passing answer, strategies for time management. We cover every single subject. We always cover every subject by doing 2 essays in that subject. And then you get access to the archive of the past classes that I've also taught. And it's organized by topic, so that way, if you're like, all right, I feel good on substantive, due process, equal protection, but how do I do free speech? There's free speech stuff in there too. So covers a lot. That class, I'll put the link for the shot page just so y'all can have a look at that. I'll put it here in the chat. But that class starts. I also have a class for the PT. I'll talk about that tomorrow. Here's just some info on the essay template books. For California, it's already out. Here's the link. And for MEE, it's easy to read, hard copy available like late November. MEE edition is coming November 17th, is that. And the MBE book is coming November 10th. I also just really want to talk briefly. I don't know if a lot of you came to my MBE workshop I did a couple nights ago, but you should watch that. If you didn't come, I thought it was really good. So I have an MBE book coming out that I'm really excited about. I'll show you a sample, but we also have this class. This class is going to be, it's different from the book. So the book is designed to like really teach you all the Black letter law, strategies, tips, all of that stuff. It gives you assignments, it's structure. It's like your whole program of study for the MBE. And it's designed to be used with like your Adaptable, your UWorld or whatever. I'm also going to make like a supplement to it at some point with like all of the MBE questions, but if you want to do it that way too. But most people have Adaptable or UWorld. A link to where you can get on the book list. Yeah, let me just get that. We're going to send it out in an email tomorrow. So we're going to definitely send that out so that you'll have that. But we have this class. So the class is different because I am in it. Like we're walking through strategies and I'm talking and like I'm going to walk through questions with you, showing you how to do it, showing you how to pull apart these questions for every single subject. I'm going to show you really how to dig in deep on your MBE. So it's really a lot more like, it's a bit more hands-on, the MBE class. And it's going to be 5 nights. It's going to be $500 soon, but we're doing it for $99 right now. And that's it. Price goes up November 1st. So that class you should definitely sign up for that. Yeah. So just throwing that out there for MBE folks. And then tomorrow night, I'm doing a PT workshop. I don't know why I decided to do balloons for this and this little chart for this, but that's tomorrow night. So make sure you're signed up for that. We'll send out a reminder for that. All right, so now I'm going to walk y'all through something else. And also just FYI, if you have gotten your bar results and you like want to talk about them and you haven't had a meeting with me yet, I do free meetings where we'll look at your essays, we'll look at your PTs, we'll look at your MB scores, we'll talk about a strategy for you for like passing on the next administration. So you can absolutely sign up for one of those meetings with me. I think I'm booked the rest of this week, but I do have openings next week. Yep. But let me put the link here for those of you that want to do that. You just have to send me all your scores and essays and stuff if you have them in advance, but the instructions are in here. So give me 1 second. So there's the link to schedule that. It's a score review. So it's just one-on-one on Zoom, 20 minutes with me, up to 20 minutes. They don't always take that long. Okay, so I have an essay that I want to go over. Okay, this is a classic. People have probably seen this if you've taken California. So I'm just going to give you all a few minutes to read this. I'm not going to go through the steps because I'm just showing you one thing with this. So under what theory or theories, if any, might patron bring an action for damages against homeowner, burglar, or cinema? Discuss. Corinne, can you wait? Or I don't know if you clicked that on accident. Homeowner kept a handgun on his bedside table in order to protect himself against intruders. A statute provides that all firearms must be stored in a secure container that is fully enclosed and locked. Burglar broke into homeowner's house while homeowner was out and stole the handgun. Burglar subsequently used the handgun in an attack on patron in a parking lot belonging to cinema. So here we have all this stuff with the homeowner, right? So there's 3 actions. There's an action against a homeowner, an action against burglar, and an action against cinema. So there's a lot happening here. Burglar subsequently used the handgun in an attack on patron in a parking lot belonging to cinema. Patron had just exited cinema around midnight after viewing a late movie. During the attack, burglar approached patron and demanded that she hand over her purse. Patron refused. Burglar drew the handgun, pointed it at patron, and stated, "You made me mad, so now I'm going to shoot you." Patron fainted out of shock and suffered a concussion. Burglar took her purse and fled, but was later apprehended by the police. Cinema had been aware of several previous attacks on its customers in the parking lot at night during the past several years, but provided no lighting or security guard. Okay, so this is kind of a crazy fact pattern. It doesn't look that nuts, but you have a full, so this is patron bringing their own claim. So this is in torts, there's no criminal stuff here. So there's no burglary, stuff like that. So this is a claim for negligence. This is a claim for negligence. So it's negligence against a homeowner with negligence per se. And there's going to be some ambiguity in causation because is homeowner really the proximate cause? It's a little tough. Then burglar. It's intentional torts, and it's literally everything except trespass to land. So there's actually 2 assaults, 2 batteries, false imprisonment, IIED, trespass to chattels, and conversion. So there's tons of intentional torts. And then full negligence against cinema, with also a proximate cause issue because there's an intervening third party bad actor. So tons to do here, right? Tons to do here. So, and then I forgot, I wanted to show you guys the MBE book in a minute. So I will show that to you. So this is what it would look like, right? Negligence, duty, Andrews Cardozo, breach, negligence per se, causation, actual proximate, damages, defenses, just for the first call, right? Just for the first call. Then patron v. burglar, assault ×2, battery ×2, false imprisonment, IIED, trespass to chattel, conversion. And then patron v. cinema, right? Just a regular negligence, but there's a counter argument for proximate cause. So what I would do, so when I list all those issues, this is my skeletal outline. I'm like, I don't have time to do all of this. I know that I don't have time. So I'm not going to break down Andrews and Cardozo. I might not even do regular duty and breach, depending on the person. I might just go into straight negligence per se, but it might not work here. So it's a little bit tricky. Causation, actual approximate, damages, defenses. I might not break down causation into actual and proximate. You still, you give the rules and you do a paragraph on actual, a paragraph on proximate, but it's just a little bit easier than doing, than breaking them apart. That always takes a little bit longer. Here, I might not, I might not do both assaults. I might just do one. I might not do both batteries. So there's an assault for the initial statement, and there's an assault when he points the gun. There's a battery when she falls and hits the ground, and there's a battery when he takes her purse. False imprisonment, even though she's not in a closed area, he's got a gun pointed at her, she can't move. IIED, and then he takes her purse, trespass to chattel, and conversion. And then here, this I'm not going to break down. So this is what I'm doing. What I'm doing is triaging. I'm looking at all of the issues that I have. I know the full scope of the essay, and I'm making decisions about how I'm going to organize. I also know that I'm not breaking these down into each component. I'm just doing a quick, these are very fast. Here, I'm not breaking stuff down. I'm probably not even going to really get into defenses, but I'm just going very simply through here. And it's just going to be a lot of see rule above, get into the analysis. So that's how you triage. You have to look and say, okay, how am I going to manage to do this? I need to make decisions about, collapsing things together, pulling them apart. What am I going to do? Am I even going to do, Andrews and Cardozo? Am I just going to do Cardozo? Sometimes people like to break up negligence per se. You do not have time to do that here. Often people like to break up assault, all the intentional torts into each of their elements. You do not have time to do that here. So here on passing, a lot of people didn't hit all of these. As long as you got 3 of them, you were okay. Does that help to see when you get your skeletal outline, and then you would have facts in there and everything, but then you triage, you have to think, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with this? It is a good idea to throw defenses in. Yeah. Even if it's just really straightforward, very, very simple. But that's what I mean. I just wanted to show you a little bit what I mean by triaging. It's really deciding, making decisions early on before I start writing about how I'm going to spend my time. I'm going to be quick and really thinking about, this is the scope of this essay. It's massive. So I need to be flying through it. So I'm probably going to omit some rules here and there. It's fine. You don't want to do that a ton. And it's, if you can put them in, put them in. All right, let me just quickly show everybody the MBE book, just because I showed it at the very beginning before we started recording. So with my MBE book, the whole goal of it is to really make it so that you have structured MBE study. Oh wait, that was July 2010, Alan. The MBE book there's 8 chapters that are each fairly big. There's a whole introductory chapter showing you really how to get in detailed on the MBE's approach, language I use for eliminating incorrect answers, stuff like that. Then we get into a chapter for each subject. And I break it down. I think of doing the MBEs and prepping for the MBE in a 3-phase process. So first you do your foundational phase for each subject. So you review the black letter law, do targeted questions. So this is one little section. And then, so what I do is I'm all right, there's jurisdiction and venue. Here's all the black letter law. Here's tips. Here's ways they try to trip you up with these types of questions. Then you do questions to test you on that. So then you see the patterns, you see how they test these things. So there's 410 questions in the book. Then you go on, and so you work your way through each subject. So I give you a schedule, it's 75 days, I think. It's right about 75 days. 75 days of doing all of your practice. And then it incorporates it in the schedule. I tell you on what days and what to do when you're using AdaptAbar, UWorld, whatever it is that you're using. And I talk about how to sort of stray for different people. The book is $179. The book is $179. So it's sort of combining a ton. So it's all the Black Letter Law, 410 questions, and it's that price because licensing these questions is expensive. All the Black Letter Law, strategies, and questions. So all combined, plus a schedule to take what you have and turn it into like a structured program. Here I tell you a little bit about the book. Here's an intro. So I would start each subject with an intro on it. I show you some strategies like for Civ Pro. How do I diagram things? I will show you this for contracts, for property too, like what to take note of, how to do that. There's tips, like this is a really good one. And then it gets into the assignments. So here's jurisdiction and venue. And anytime there's a black box, I get into like common things that they do to distract you. So I call them distractors. So like distractor facts, distractor answer choices. So there's tips, there's a Black Letter Law. I try to really break it down so it's more like easy to memorize and easy to remember. But there's tips throughout in the little black boxes. And then after that, so after the end of this section, then there would be a section on that gives you MBE questions that test you on the Black Letter Law here. And then following that, then there's the answer explanations. So yeah, I talk about like the 75K, how you get there. That's all in here too. But yeah, so I'm super excited. This book has been a long time coming, but I'm very excited for it. So hopefully you guys will all like it too. And it comes out November 10th is when we're releasing it. And again, it'll also be digital, and then there will be a hard copy that you can order shortly thereafter. And that's it for today. Any questions? Yeah, we have essay book. We have the MBE book first, then the essay book, then a PT book for the UBE, and then Quick Sheets, which is like my favorite little memorization tool. So I made them for California before. I'm making the UBE version now. So it's a great little, like all the Black Letter Law you need in like 40-ish pages. You sign up for the website online. You sign it up. So we have a free study resources page on my website. So you definitely want to look at that. So let's see, I will put the link, but we'll send out a link, and we'll send out a link tomorrow as well. And no, you do not learn all the Black Letter Law before you attempt an essay, like not all of it. Like you might review a subject. There's not essay questions, Che. There's not essays. There's not fact patterns in it. This is really giving you all the Black Letter Law, the templates, how things come up. It's really teaching you how to analyze any issue. And it's organized all by topic. The Quick Sheets come out, I think, December 1st. Yeah, tutoring info is on my website in the shop. And sign up, you guys, because that price is going up too for that MBE class. But here's a link to like free study resources. That's where you sign up for all upcoming workshops. You can download free samples. There's actually the sample. You can sign up to get that also. Oh yeah, you want to see the Quick Sheets? I do have a sample of the Quick Sheets for sure. I think we have like the full Crim Pro available for that. Give me one second. I'll show you that. EB, we have class on Sunday, EB, for early intervention. Yeah, thanks everybody for your kind words. It's so nice. All right, let me show you the Quick Sheets. So it's small font, but it's everything you need here broken down. I try to make it really straightforward. That's like one thing that a lot of people like about this. This has California federal distinction. This is the California one. So it's all of California, everything you need to know for the California bar. Not every little thing, but like pretty much everything, all in 42 pages. So really try to distill everything down. You can print these, you can print them. They're $50. So this is like a really good deal. And I've gotten a ton of feedback on people really liking the organization, the way that I do it, the way that I break it down. I try to keep it just straightforward. My big thing when I practiced, and Andy, there is one coming out for the UBE. Yeah, those are coming out like early December. And all of them, so happy to hear that. I forgot what I was going to say, but yeah, those are forthcoming. They're really, you can print them out. So yeah, that's it. Make sure you sign up for the other workshops. If you're a UBE taker, if you took July, I'm doing a session next week, going over the whole July exam. So just make sure that you sign up for that as well, so that you can come. I'm going to talk about each of the 6 essays and the 2 PTs. And then, yeah, hopefully we'll see you guys at everything else. Sign up for that class too. It's such a good deal. It's ridiculous. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great rest of your night. Thank you. Bye.